Just Outdoors is brought to you in part by
Jervalin Hardware Hank, Deer River. Jervalin Hardware offers a broad selection of paints and sporting goods and a complete line of plumbing and electrical supplies. Jervalin Hardware, 108 Main Avenue, Deer River.
Hi folks, my name is Tom Chapin and welcome to ICTV's Just Outdoors. We're in the middle of the summer and we've got a special show for you today. We're going to talk all about crossbows. Crossbows is just an upcoming sport. It's been around for a while, but boy, it's one of the biggest sports out there now for shooting all kinds of animals, especially going deer hunting. And we kind of have an expert with us today for a guest, and that's Gary Castellano, and Gary Castellano is the owner and proprietor of Itasca Archery. And so we're going to be talking bows, but mainly crossbows, and we're actually going to shoot crossbows. And you're going to see a couple amateurs, that's me, one of them, that have, first time they ever shot a crossbow was 2 weeks ago, and I feel I'm pretty good at it already. And I don't think I'm as good as some of the people that have had them for a long time, but you're going to find out that it's a pretty easy sport to get into. So Gary, thank you for
inviting me to do this. I appreciate it, Tom.
And we're going to be really interrogating you.
Okay. Yep. You just
and
go
I
ahead.
thought one of the best things to do is to start out with kind of the evolution of bows and arrows, because we got people watching here. What's a bow and arrow? I mean, as far as the different types, it gets all mishmashed in their mind as far as what people are using now. And people are going back to the old bows now.
They are.
That's why we want to bring this up.
Yep.
You know, so take us through the evolution of some of these bows.
When Tom and I grew up back in the day, we all shot these. We all shot traditional archery equipment. And this is what everybody used until about the early 70s when the compounds started to appear on the scene. And the two types of bows that people would generally buy would be a longbow. And this is a hybrid longbow. You can always tell the difference between a longbow and a recurve because on a longbow the string does not touch the limb like it does on the recurve. And it's just a personal choice which one you want to shoot. They're both sticks with strings. They're a little difficult to shoot. You have to practice with them a lot to get good with this. And we're seeing a bunch of people starting to go back to this. A lot of people are tired of technology and they want to step back in time, and they've hunted with the technology for years and they want to go to something like this. So we've seen this really, really grow. So this is a hybrid longbow. And by hybrid, I mean it's got a pistol style grip. I don't have one of the regular longbows. They were more of the English longbow with the straight, real straight handle on them. And a lot of people like the longbow because of the days of England back in the day, you know, the Crusades and all that with the longbow. I grew up with a recurve bow.
One question on that: can you do people that use those? Do they put sights on them, or they just shoot them naturally?
Very, very few people do, and a lot of these they're not even tapped.
Yeah, and what do they call that? That's just
you're shooting instinctive.
Instinctively.
Yeah, you're shooting instinctive archery, and you can also learn. They have what's called gap shooting, where you're actually using the arrow as your sight. Depending on where you want to anchor, you're using the tip of the arrow as your sight.
Yeah, and the bows in the schools have these, right?
They have what's called a Genesis bow. It's a compound bow, but it doesn't have any let off on it, and there's no set draw length, so they can go from kid to kid to kid, and that's what they shoot.
That's what they shoot.
Yeah, that's what they shoot.
But they shoot. They don't use sights, do they?
No sights.
Just all instinctive shooting.
All instinctive, and they teach those kids how to use the arrow as a reference.
The only thing you got on the line here, you've got
your knocking point.
You're knocking the arrow at the same spot every time, and that's kind of important.
And a lot of people are shooting off the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, some people there's raised rests, and you can do that.
What's the average poundage pull of a straight bow that you sell?
I don't stock anything over 45 pounds because you just don't need that. You know, a lot of guys coming from the compound to the traditional side, they'll shoot a 70-pound compound and think they can shoot a 70-pound traditional bow, and it won't work because there's no let off. You're holding the full amount.
And let off is
the relaxation
you
of the cams.
get from the cams.
From the cams
and
tipping.
we're going to be showing cams.
Yep, we're going to be showing that.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well,
that's the traditional bows.
Give me that one, and you. We're now getting into this in the 70s, right?
Yeah, this is a modern recurve. This is a Black Widow out of Nixa, Missouri. And
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. This is custom made. You actually pick your own woods, and you talk to them. And this bow took 5 months to come in. Oh, and it's all custom made to your grip. They have grip specifications, the type of wood that you want on this. And this is Osage orange and cocobolo, and they're just beautiful.
Unbelievable. And it's got the recurve.
It's got the recurve tip on it.
You can see the difference here.
And what happened with these custom companies like this, Tom, is they thrived in the 50s, 60s, and into the early 70s. And then when the compound appeared, they struggled to stay in business. A lot of these companies just struggled because everybody was going to the compound. Now things are starting to twist the other way. A lot of people are going back to simplicity, especially if their shoulders are good. And I went back to this 5 years ago. I went back and I had hunted with a compound for a long time. And my shoulders are good, probably due to the type of job I had teaching school and doing that. I didn't have a lot of physical work, I did, so my shoulders are really good.
But with these two bows now, you're if you choose to hunt with these, you're limiting yourself.
20 yards and in.
But you're limiting yourself as far as the success.
Yes, you are. Yeah, dramatically. Right. So
and that's what people sometimes want to do, isn't it? I mean, they want to get down
to the basics. Last year I harvested a doe with this bow, and I hunted for 5 years before I got
there
one.
You go.
And it's just
you're probably one of the best shots in the county too.
Well, it's hard hunting, and you practice every day. You can't take a traditional bow and not shoot for a week or two and try to come back to it.
If you remember that when we were younger, we were out in our backyard, and a lot of folks will remember that. When you let off on your bow for a couple of weeks, boy, it took a while because of muscles.
Yeah, muscle memory and that. So.
Okay, now I see you got a sight. You can put a sight on that, or what?
This is an arrow holder.
Oh.
So I'll put the arrow on there, and I'll clip this. And that way I can hang my bow up, and that arrow won't fall off the shelf.
Okay, we got now we're coming up to the compound bow.
Yep.
And if you would have showed me that, and I wasn't into bows, I wouldn't even know what this is. Looks like something you'd use for plumbing.
Yeah, it looks like a Star Wars type thing.
So you explain what we got here now.
Yeah, this is a Hoyt compound, and this is called a Ventum. This is one of their higher end bows. All the bells and whistles.
This is a compound bow.
Compound bow.
Okay.
So what happens on this bow, and actually now they have 80 to 85% let off.
And they do that with
the action of the cams as you pull this bow back, and
a lot of physics going on there,
and it's taking over, and it's relaxing that holding weight, and you can just hold that bow all day long.
Which is proves your accuracy.
Yeah, proves your accuracy,
and you can get used to it a lot quicker.
And hunters on these, they'll use a peep sight. It's like a rear sight, and they'll look through that and then focus on this.
What's that there? No,
that's your bow sight.
That's your sight,
and that's a 3-pin sight.
Wow.
So what guys will do on this, generally they might sight one for 20, 30, and 40 yards.
Yeah.
And they have 5-pin sights, they have 7-pin sights, they have all sorts of
They don't put scopes on these, do they?
They do have.
They
can do that.
Small scope?
They've actually got now, Tom, they're very expensive. It's a built-in sight and rangefinder all in one system. And it'll actually calibrate for you.
Yeah.
As you are holding on an animal and moving, it'll automatically calibrate what sight system you should use.
So you're getting into some really modern weaponry
Yep,
here.
you are. You're getting...
That you're going to use against a deer that has been around for a million years.
And the guys that can really shoot these, I have customers of mine that they'll shoot 3-inch groups at 80 yards with this all day long.
80 yards?
All day long.
Most people can't do that with a rifle.
No. And for you and I, it's hard to even see that far.
Yeah, tell me. We'll talk about that later. When you start shooting.
But
you know, that's good to talk about that because we can still, with my eyesight particularly is bad, and I don't know where you are on there. You're getting up there. And yet we can still use these. The compound bow. Now, what percentage of people just use these for target?
You know, up here there's not. You get into metropolitan environments like in the cities.
Sure.
A lot of these clubs, they just shoot indoor competition. You get up in northern Minnesota, and most of the people that purchase these are hunters.
Hunters, okay. Well, sure, because of the environment you live in.
And they'll practice. They'll shoot indoors in the winter because the archery club is an indoor building, and then they'll come out here and shoot my 3D range through the woods, which is animal targets. And they'll do that.
Let people know there is an archery club here.
Yeah, there is a very good archery club, Grand Rapids Archers. Yeah. And very, very good club. Yeah. So this is a compound bow, and it's got a quick detach bow quiver. It holds your arrows. It's got a stabilizer for balance.
How heavy is that?
This is probably going to come in with everything on it about 6 pounds.
Let me feel that just to see.
It's got some weight to it.
There's some weight there.
Yeah, when you start putting things on there, you're
probably going to have to do a little weight work at home there. But otherwise, you want something heavy because it's more accurate.
And since the 70s, these have become more state-of-the-art. You know, you look at a compound from the 70s compared to one now, and the technology changes on these is
I have
incredible.
A compound, and I think the let-off is only like 30%.
Yeah, that's what they used to be.
Yeah.
And then they've gotten to be more and more and more. And they'll even put on this, this one will go 80% or 85%. So if you hunt in Colorado, they don't allow anything over 80%. So you can actually loosen that screw and you can set it at 80%. Now you're legal to hunt in Colorado.
Yeah. Okay.
So
very good.
That's that.
Now we're going to generate to the next
thing.
The next thing we're going to be talking about in shooting, and this is the crossbow. That's what the show is all about. So why don't you hold on to that, and you're going to.
This is an Excalibur crossbow. This one comes out of Canada. Very simplistic to use because you don't have any cams. You have a regular bowstring on this. This is one of the few crossbows that you can actually change the string in the field. Most of the other ones you cannot. You have to bring it to an archery shop to have it worked on. And most of the people that are hunting with this bow, they're shooting deer 30 yards and in just like they do. You know, they're using their hunting skills. This bow is capable of shooting 80, 90, 100 yards. It's got a scope on it.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it's got a scope on it, and you cock it by putting your foot in the stirrup, and there's a little cocker that you can cock this with. And we'll be doing that downstairs.
Yeah, and then tell us about not the arrows, but the bolts. That's the different, right?
Yeah, they're
okay.
And
I mean, that's what they're stiffer.
They call them bolts. They're stiffer. They're shorter. And you usually want to get a bolt that's kind of coinciding to the company that's making the particular crossbow, and they're made for the bow with the weight and everything else on those, and they're short. They'll go from some manufacturers 16 inches to 20 inches to 22 inches would be the bolt. You use the same broadhead if you use a fixed blade broadhead that you would do on a compound bow. We're getting a lot of people going to these that have hunted with a compound for years, but they've had health issues, shoulder problems, and whatever, and have gone to the crossbow because they like to hunt the nice weather.
Sure, and it's nice to have shops around like yours that know this and can get them on the right track. If you just go down and buy one of these without getting the knowledge of what you're buying, you're kind of going down an alley, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like anything else. You want to go somewhere where you can get some service and somebody can explain it to you and go over it rather than just hand it to you and away you go. So what we do, and we'll be doing that downstairs when people get crossbows from us, we bring them downstairs and we bench rest shoot it and show them all the ins and outs and help them sight it in and make them feel comfortable when they're using it.
Yeah, and let's talk about the legality of these. 60 years of age or over in Minnesota.
Minnesota, yep.
You can use them to take big game during the archery season, which gives you another almost 2 months of hunting, right?
Yeah, you're 60. You have to be 60 years old or disabled in Minnesota to use a crossbow. Anybody can use one during rifle season. Anybody can use a crossbow. And I think one of the reasons they've done that, and I've had guys come in that they've lost their rights with a firearm, and they have to go to a crossbow to be able to hunt during rifle season. There's like 38 states now where anybody can shoot a crossbow. And so there's lots
during the archery season?
Yeah, so there's Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah,
so what you're having is you're having an influx of 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds that they don't have any health problems whatsoever, but they just want to go this way with a scope and a trigger, and they just want to do that.
They got that extra portion of the year they can hunt deer.
That's right. Yeah, because you can go from, I think this year it opens September 18th all the way to December 31st, and you can hunt with this.
Okay, this is a crossbow without any cams, no wheels here, right?
Yep, no wheels.
So, okay, now we're going to go to the...
This is a modern Star Wars type crossbow. This is a Raven. These are actually made in Superior, Wisconsin, and these ones have the cams on it. This bow will shoot about 400 feet a second, and it will shoot 2 to 3 inch groups at 100 yards all day long. It cocks with a crank rather than the stirrup, so you're not pulling a rope to cock it. You're just cranking it, so it's center cocking every time, so it gives it its accuracy. And it's got a real high-end scope on it, a real fine trigger, all the whistles and bells.
A little more expensive than the last bow you're
substantially more expensive. These are probably double the cost of an Excalibur. And then crossbows now can go up as high as $3,000-4,000.
Wow.
Just like firearms or anything else, you know. But this profile on this is actually uncocked. So it's very, very narrow, so you've got a lot of room when you're in a tree stand.
Yeah,
you know, very close quarters,
and
walking through woods and everything, and then cocked, it's probably about 6 inches or so.
Yeah.
And that's a Raven crossbow. That's the modern one. Okay. So,
you know, and you're talking 400 feet per second or so. That if people don't know about feet per second out there watching, this is a new thing for you. That's fast.
That is very fast.
I mean,
you know,
you're getting up toward the speed of a slower bullet out of a handgun.
Yep.
A 45 handgun is about you can load them about 700 feet per second. That's getting to almost where
we've only seen a couple of compounds that we've only had a couple in the shop where we ran them through a chronograph that have shot 300 feet a second. And the recurve and longbows that we showed you, they're probably between 150 and 170 feet a second. And this is 400, and they make one model that shoots 500.
Yeah, that's beyond anything I can imagine.
Which is crazy. But
these don't kick when you shoot them.
No kick, no nothing. Blazing fast, and they'll really reach out. But most of the people that are buying these, especially up here because of our wooded conditions, they're hunting and shooting at the distances they normally shoot a deer at.
Shooting a deer at 15 yards isn't unusual.
No.
So
yep.
So a gun or a bow. Yeah.
But we're gonna downstairs. We'll shoot this one,
go downstairs
and we'll shoot the other one. You know,
we're gonna shoot the one previous to this, and
then we'll shoot this one.
We'll take a look. Oh, really?
Oh yeah. We'll try this one too.
Never shot one of those.
Once you shoot this, you'll be impressed with this.
Okay, folks, we're gonna go to the range. Okay, Gary, we are in your range, and we're gonna be shooting bows, and compound bows.
Yeah.
And we meaning a couple of us.
Yeah.
And the thing, what are we going to be shooting these bolts into? What type of targets do we have?
This is a commercial-made target. It's called a Morel, and it's very heavy duty. It's machine packed with all sorts of upholstery and fabric stuffings, and it's rated to 450 feet a second. And we need this, especially when we shoot that Raven crossbow. We need this. These are also targets that we can shoot the traditional bows in or the compounds. And we could probably shoot your Excalibur into this too, but if we shoot that Raven crossbow into this at 400 feet a second, we're going to just bury that arrow where we're not going to get the arrow back. Yeah, it's just going to go in there.
Gotta go through here first.
So we use this target and for the Raven, and like I say, it's rated to 450 feet a second, so we're fine. And these, they'll pull out very easy. And the distance we're going to do this at is 20 yards.
So the question is, when I first shoot this bow, first time ever, how do I know I'm going to hit here and not here?
Because I have it sighted in for you on the Raven. You know, so
with my eagle eyesight,
if
right?
if you hit here, there's something wrong, you know, but you won't do that. So I've got it. You're going to be right in this area, and I know the Excaliburs, both you guys, you and Dave, they're sighted in for that. So, but
all right. Well, is this the same thing?
This is the same as this, and we could actually shoot into this, but it's been shot quite a few times, and I find the arrows, they go in pretty deep into that target, so this is a better option.
Guy or gal is gonna get into archery shooting in their yards. How many shots can something like this take?
Thousands. And you can get replacement covers. You can actually repair these, put a replacement cover on there, but you get thousands of shots. And what you do is you keep rotating it because you can shoot. Sure. So I think over here they've got, they got the animal vitals.
All the stuff inside isn't lined up.
No.
It's all mixed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got animal vitals there, and over here you actually, well, let's see if they have the dartboard on it. Yep, there it is. It's underneath here. You have a dartboard where you can kind of shoot and play a little game, you know, if you want to with that too.
Yeah,
but
you can have competition.
Yeah, you can have some competition with it. So,
So that may take place someday. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay, now we're going to go back to the shooting table, and we're going to be shooting at 20 yards.
20 yards.
60 feet. That's a long way.
Which is probably
about average.
That's 90% of probably the whitetail deer shot in Minnesota with archery equipment are shot at that yardage or closer. You know, and it looks like it's farther down here because the building's narrow. So it looks like it's a lot farther than 20 yards, but it's 20 yards.
It does look farther than 20
yards. Yeah, it looks farther than
sure,
that. So,
I'm excited. And then once we get down here, you'll explain a little bit about the scope, and you use the crosshairs, but then there's some things you use under the crosshair for longer distances, right?
Yep. On your Excalibur, I think it's got a crosshair for your 20 yards, and then it's got a little dot or post for 30, 40, 50, you know, your other yardages. Yeah. And on the Raven scope, it's a series of circles. Okay. Yeah, there's a 20 yard, a 30, a 40,
and
a
what
50.
that does, it forces you to raise the bow up.
Raise the bow up for the farther distances. Good. Yep.
Folks, you can be left or right-handed on these. There's no particular left or right-handed priority here on the bows, although there are on straight bows.
Yep, on your compounds and your left or right, but on a compound you do not.
And on these, so
on a crossbow.
Yeah.
You do not.
So I'm going to sit down. This is cocked, and it doesn't matter what feather you put in there.
Nope.
But you just run this back until it touches.
Yep.
And what's holding the arrow a little bit in place is this thing here. It's kind of a spring steel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what power is this particular?
Those scopes are just mainly not even maybe one power. They're not very much, you know, because there's stipulations, different states about the power that you can have on a scope on a crossbow.
Now, sometimes you can hold it with your hand. I'm going to look down there, and okay. You don't want to get your hand or fingers up in that area.
You always want to be under the little ledge or railing that they have there.
Okay. You could also set this on another item right here. Just shoot like this, couldn't you?
Yep.
But I'm going to use my hand, which is probably a little less accurate.
Yeah. Did you want the cushion?
Let's try it without it.
Okay.
And if I miss, we'll try it with the cushion.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, there's a little bit of, this is the way I feel comfortable right here. Put it well into your shoulder, and anytime you shoot any type of a gun or a crossbow, you want to squeeze your whole hand. You don't want to you don't want to just,
It's unsafe.
yeah, pull the, and then you take it off safe. Once you got it sighted in there, now she's, okay. Now you just squeeze your hand and your finger at the same time. Well, there's an arrow down there, and it's in the target.
I'll go pull that out of there, Tom.
So, can you see?
You are in the bullseye. You're just a little bit low, but you're in the white.
I'm in the white, so the white is the bullseye.
Yep, you're in the white.
All right. Well, I'll
So
give
if
it
you were hunting, you'd be successful with that shot.
well, unless it was a rabbit or something.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, now this isn't over with yet because I have to get out and I have to cock this again. All right? Mm-hmm. So what I'll do is do the same thing. So we got her there? Okay. And we'll do the same thing. You get better at this as you go. You got to make sure you put it here. You kind of even out the line so it's equal, and then you just go down and
Yeah, and these styles like this, if you don't cock it even, it'll throw your arrow right or left.
So see, you can see these are equal here, and then you just pull up quick, and she's in there. It's not easy. It's not real easy, but it's easy enough where even a 75-year-old guy could do that.
Mm-hmm. And you can buy for these, Tom, you can buy, when you hit 90 years old, and if you still want to hunt with this, you can actually buy a crank system that goes on here.
Which you could,
makes it easier.
You could crank it, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's try one more, and then we'll go to another different bow.
I'll load this for you. The fletching on these, they're plastic vanes, and it doesn't matter which way you go. They're all the same color on the channel. So you can flip this any way you want. You just want it to be in the channel, and then you push it until it stops, and then it's ready to go.
Now, my eyesight isn't the best, but when I look through this scope, it's pretty clear for me down there. And I don't know how that happens when you don't have any power on this. It's just like one power.
It's limited power, yeah. It's not a lot of power on there.
So you really don't know. Are there scopes on these particular things that are higher power?
There's some guys that will actually take and they'll put regular rifle scopes on their crossbows.
Okay, now you got to flip the safety to shoot. And then I'm going to do the same thing and see if I can do that same thing. Now that's pretty clear.
Yep, you're in there again, Tom.
I guess what we're trying to show here is that if you're a real novice and you're looking for a sport that just for shooting,
You're in the inner circle this time.
I'm in the inner circle.
Yeah, you're in the inner circle. It doesn't get much better than that.
Okay. So I guess what we'll do now is I feel pretty comfortable about that.
Yeah.
You're going to let me shoot the big one eventually.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But,
I'm going to shoot the Raven.
Do we want another guy to try shooting this?
If Dave would like to try, Dave.
Dave?
You want to shoot that one?
He wants to shoot that one. Okay.
What I'll do is I'll show you how this one operates.
And tell him what this is again. What this is.
This is a Raven R10. Now, what we're going to do on this particular bow, and it makes it really, really easy to cock this, whereas the bow Tom just shot, you have a stirrup and you have the rope and you have to use some strength pulling it and cocking it. This one has no stirrup. So what we do is we just set it down like that. It's a little magnetic crank, and what it does, and this will work right or left hand, it just hooks on. So then I drop my hand down to this position, and I'm going to go...
Is it off safety or on safety?
It's on safety. What this bow will do, the minute you shoot this bow, it'll revert to safety through the whole process automatically. So we drop our hand down here, and I'm going to turn this crank clockwise about a half a turn, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to push this little button in right here. And I'm going to hold that in, pull this off, and that housing drop down. Now I push, it engaged the string, and now I'm going to cock it. So what this will do with this system, it will center cock every single time. So it's just a matter of...
And that's not real difficult.
No, and you can actually do it silently too. You can hold that button in, and you can silently cock this. The other thing you can do with this bow is you can also uncock this at the end of the day.
Ah. The other ones you got, like the one I shot.
You got to pretty much shoot it, you know. So this one, what you do is you drop your hand down again. You go about a half a turn, you push and hold that button in, and you just hold on so it doesn't get away with you. And see how it's going down the string? It's uncocking. You pull your arrow out.
Sure.
And then you just leave it like this till the next day.
Sure.
Because once that's grabbed the string, it won't let go until you shoot it. So now we'll just cock this again.
So that's what's holding the arrow. I mean the string.
The string, yep. So that'll stop. You pull this off. Now here's the profile of this bow cocked.
My goodness. Just very thin.
So, and then this particular bow, what we'll do is we'll lay it up here, and I'll load this for you. Now, on this one, you know, they always tell you that you never put your hand in here. It's a danger zone. You just don't want to put your hand anywhere in there. You always want to work from this side. This particular bow, it's got two different colors in your fletching. You want to shoot the white down, so it goes right through those rollers like that. If you do it the wrong way, it'll tear those off. So you put the white down, you slide this up, and there's a little shelf right here where I'm going to set this arrow on, a little shelf. And if I just slide it in like this bow won't fire. It's got built-in anti-dry fire. I've got to actually grab it and push firmly till it clicks.
Ah,
Here,
look
click.
at that. Yeah.
And if it doesn't click, it won't fire.
So that arrow isn't basically resting on much, is
No,
it?
this arrow doesn't ride on the shelf,
No.
and the string doesn't ride on the rail, so you don't get the wear. It sits above, and it just gives you extreme accuracy. And this is amazingly fast. You will see when you
That
shoot
would
this.
give you more accuracy than if that arrow was laying on a shelf of some sort. It's just
Yeah,
actually floating there.
Floating there, yeah.
Wow.
So it's just resting on those two little rollers. And then this has a real fine trigger. It doesn't have a lot of travel. It's just like a lot of guys on a, and you know, because you're into firearms, that a lot of guys will buy a firearm and they actually have the trigger reworked, so it's a little crisper.
2 pounds or whatever.
And yeah, and this is a very crisp trigger on this. So what you're going to do on this, Tom, is you're going to look through the scope, or Dave's going to do it.
And I'll do it after.
And you're going to use the top circle. There's a little 20-yard circle on that. And he just has to put it on the safeties on both sides. You just have to push it down to red. And you just click this. There's fire. Yeah. And then it's ready to shoot.
Come on in, Dave.
Dave?
Now, he had just put that off safe, correct?
It's ready to fire.
Got the camera.
For most people, you know, that are like shooting a crossbow, you know, anything in an area, you know, like this is going to be a kill size area on the lungs of a deer. But you try to want to get it as fine as you possibly can. So a little bit of tweaking on the scope, and it's probably going to hit that orange every time. And it'll do that over and over and over again because it center cocks every time, as long as you're steady. So, and then that target, Tom, pull that arrow out. You'll see how easy that arrow pulls out of there.
Nothing to it.
It just pulls right out of there. So
that's
like
just
I say,
amazing.
This is
Yeah.
designed for that high speed.
Sure.
So
All right. Well, I'll take a shot with it,
yeah,
and that'll
we'll cock it,
put
and
that
we'll,
away.
we'll let
Sure.
you try that and see.
Okay, I just crank this.
Yep, you just grab the handle and just crank it. Just keep going.
Well, there's nothing to it.
No.
There's no pressure at all.
No, just crank it all the way up till it stops, till you feel a resistance there.
Should I be putting my hand
No,
in here? No.
no, you can go wherever you want. That little tag's in the
all
way
right.
a little
We're
bit
good.
there, so. There it is, and then you just pull this right off with your, right there, you grab it and pull it right off. There it is. Now what we'll do is we'll lay it up here and we'll load it for
And
you.
it's on safe
Yep,
because that's
it's
the way this
automatically
is.
on safe. The minute Dave pulled the trigger, this reverted to safety. So it's got all these safety features in it. So,
Beautiful.
so I will, again, we're going to go the white down, and we lay it on a little ledge, and we give it a push till it clicks, ready to go. All you got to do is click it on fire, and it's ready to shoot.
Boy, I feel like I got quite a weapon in my hands.
You
here.
do.
Man, just crazy. And you say the trigger pull is a lot different
Real
than
nice
what I was
trigger.
using.
It's got a, Dave,
It's
did you
just-
feel it? It's got a nice trigger on it.
The one I shot was there was a lot of
Travel?
travel on it. So you kind of learn the travel, and then
Yeah,
you know it's going to
yeah.
go up. But this one is going to go off right away.
It's very crisp, yeah.
Okay.
And
So
you just use the top circle. If you
okay.
can see that circle on there, can you see there fairly clear?
Yes.
Your safety too.
Yeah, I'm going to get the safety. Oh yeah, tough. Okay. And then
You just push that down. Ready to go.
that's all it
Yeah,
takes is that
yeah.
little. Whoa.
She's ready to go.
She's ready to go. Boy.
She's ready to go.
Okay. Here we go. Okay, we'll just put that circle.
Top circle right on the orange.
Yeah, the scope is a little off for me, but we'll try it. No excuses.
That quick?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I didn't even see the arrow going.
No, it's just, it's fast.
Yeah.
It's really fast.
Okay, well, we'll that's pretty much the end of our demonstration with the bows. We'll go down and see where that arrow wound up. Look at that. It's the same basic hole. I mean, let's pull this out and take a look.
So as far as your competition goes, you guys have to buy each other something.
Yeah, I mean, look at here.
Because nobody really won on this one.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You bet. Yeah. Because I might want him back for another show.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Excellent. Well, this has been a really good show. I think we've learned a lot meeting with Gary here, and this is a sport that I really wasn't involved in. I was involved in archery all my life, but not the crossbow. It's a whole different ballgame
Yep, it is.
out there.
Yep,
so
it is.
I really appreciate you
Yep. Thank you
coming
much.
through on
Yep,
this
thanks
and
much.
showing the public a little information. This is an informational show. This is what I like to do, get a little education out there. And so we've hopefully been educated here this last hour. And folks, thanks for watching this show. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Just Outdoors. Just Outdoors is brought to you in part by
Jervalin Hardware Hank, Deer River. Jervalin Hardware offers a broad selection of paints and sporting goods and a complete line of plumbing and electrical supplies. Jervalin Hardware, 108 Main Avenue, Deer River.